Right then, welcome back to the channel. 5 things we learned watching that game last night. Manchester United against Ipswich. First one of the Ruben Amorim era. Does it feel right calling it an era so early after one game? I guess it is an era, isn't it? Regardless of how long or short it's going to be. Right, let's get into it then. Growing pains. Felt like a bit of a mismatch 11, and that's probably exactly what it was, really. This gaffer doesn't know who his best players are, doesn't know who he can trust, doesn't know the full capabilities of these players. You got various players in stages of match fitness, returning from injuries, returning late from international duty. So there wasn't an ideal time for any of this, and it's never really an ideal time to go to a Kieran McKenna side that's always so tactically disciplined and difficult to play against. Now, there's going to be tough periods, there's going to be growing pains, there's going to be adaptations that need to be made. You could kind of see it in some of the performances there where people were just that tiny little bit hesitant. And I think at the speed of Premier League football, that really starts to show. We're going to find out who can sink and who can swim. There's got to be a level of patience. And I think the guy's going to need backing in the transfer market. I think you need to be bringing in goals for starters and probably a natural left-sided wing-back to have any hope of this system that he wants to play working out. Start your betting journey with confidence. Sign up with Hollywoodbets and enjoy their exciting new player bonus. And here's the deal. Register, deposit £10 or more using your debit card, place your first £10 or more bet on any sportsbook market with minimum odds of 1.5, and if the bet loses, you will receive a £10 free bet as a bonus. Your free bet can be used on a multiple bet with 3 or more legs and needs to be used within 3 days of being credited. For full terms and conditions, check the link in the description. Remember, you must be 18 years of age or older to register. And as always, gamble responsibly. If you need support, check out begambleaware.org. Bet responsibly and enjoy. Secondly, the pivot. We've seen this midfield, and we've seen this midfield really underperform. Now, what we've also seen this season, I don't think we've seen it together, actually. If I'm wrong on this one, I might be wrong on this one, but just off the top of the dome, I don't think we've seen Casemiro and Eriksen play together and play well together this season. I think when we've seen Casemiro play well, it was largely alongside Ugarte. And I think when we've seen Eriksen play well, it was largely alongside Mainu. Is that right? Or it's been like cameos when he's come in. I don't think they've started in a pivot together. And I think that was a massive issue. They didn't have the mobility. They didn't have the ability to cover the ground that was required of them against such an energetic midfield the way Ipswich's was. And I think it's a bit of an annoyance because the way that those two have worked this season, you think on paper, and maybe this is the first mistake the manager's made, when you look at what Ipswich are about, you think, okay, what we've seen from both of these players this season is that they can actually hold the ball and control the ball really well, and you might be able to dominate possession with them. But the reality of it wasn't that. The reality was that they got completely outworked in midfield. They got completely physically beaten in midfield. And when you look at the data of what Ugarte did when he came on, he had such high pass completion, like completely smashed what both Eriksen and Casemiro do. Now, Christian Eriksen this season has been an absolute chance-creating phenom and an absolute high 90s pass completion, and he did neither of those things today. So I think it's a very clear indicator that for this system to be effective, you have to see Ugarte in it. They were a little bit too vertical in possession. They weren't very secure in possession. They were a serious issue all game, and I think they ended up having Bruno Fernandes come deeper. He ended up having quite a high pass completion rate, which is rare for him in this sort of game, because I think he was trying to get involved in dictating the play, when actually that's not really the role that you want from him. He's got to be the conductor that makes the chances happen, but because he's too far, like there's chain reactions happening all over the pitch with it. And I just think United, we held the ball fantastic in defence. I mean, you had over 100 passes from Mazraoui. Dalot had 99% pass completion because he was just them two was involved in so much passing, but it was like ineffective passing. We couldn't break through the line to get it into midfield for them to be able to move it up into the final third where we might be able to create some chances with it. But yeah, I mean, it's mad because they both had like separately quite good seasons, but together I think it just didn't work against Ipswich. Number 3, Onana. I've been very happy with Onana, apart from his long kicking most of the season, to be honest. I think there was a couple of world-class saves there last night. Very strong argument for being man of the match. Certainly one of our players of the season. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for some of his saves because people really like to focus in on his mistakes and that's it with him. But he's been very good since he signed for Manchester United. Like, I think he's very reliable. I think he makes the saves he's meant to make, and then he makes some saves that he's not meant to make as well. Ipswich did enough to have won that game 2-1. No problem last night. And the only reason that they didn't is Andre Onana. And I think it's about time people started giving him a little bit of respect. Ahmed. I think our best outfield player was Ahmed. And I think him and Mazraoui, again, just decision-making personified. Played out of position, put in a solid performance. I still think he'll be better as one of the sort of number 10s. The assist from Rashford was fantastic play. Probably played with a little bit of safety and not enough risk for the most part, I think. He got to play a little bit higher up, and he's got to be a little bit braver in possession. I think his decision-making is fantastic, and he keeps holding the ball so well, and he always has very high pass completions, but his dribbling completions was good, his take-ons was good, he created a couple of chances for people. It was a really solid performance, and he wins his duels. His decision-making is fantastic, and I just wish he would play with a little bit more risk in the final third, because he can do that. And I think he's good with that. And he can be a match winner for us. He did all right as a wing back. I don't really want to see him deployed there, though. I want to see him playing as one of the sort of number 10s off a striker. The forward misfiring continues. So Rashford non-existent outside of his goal. Don't know if he doesn't enjoy the 9 or whatever, but Højlund did nothing either when he came on. Garnacho was doing his usual. He tries very hard. He plays with a lot of risk, but the decision-making is awful. He gets into some phenomenal positions and then just does not pick the right either pass or the right decision, whether it's to dribble when you could have passed, to pass when you could have dribbled. His decision-making is terrible. I don't know if he's got the top-end speed to break away when he gets a little bit of space. He's relentless, and there's some good attributes about him, but the decision-making is really going to hold him back. And then, Højlund came on. He looks like he's not got any confidence. Xerxes doesn't seem like he's up to the speed of the Premier League. Manchester United need goals. Rashford scored, but he's not delivering. Højlund looks like he's incapable of delivering. Garnacho's not got the decision-making too. As well as Ahmad is playing, yes, he got an assist. He still feels like he's playing a little bit safe. Like, there's so many issues in that forward line. Compare that to previous eras of Manchester United, even very recently when we had the likes of, including Greenwood, Sancho, Cavani, Ronaldo. We're so far off the level of quality that team was, and that team was not a great team. Let alone going back to when we had the likes of Rooney, Tevez, Ronaldo, Berbatovs. Like, we're so far off that level of goals, and you have to buy goals. You have to bring goals in. You can't just decide, well, if he just scores 25, we'll be sound. Rare that is. You have to bring your goals in. And United are not scoring enough goals. Roy Keane nailed it, man. He was so right. They're not a goal threat. I think we can play nice football. I think we didn't against Ipswich, but I think we can dominate possession with the right midfield. I just don't know where the goals come from, and I've not felt that in this team all season. So until that changes, this team is going to be an also-ran. Now, whether that means we're 12th, probably not. We're better than that. But we're not going to do anything without goals. Goals win games, and we ain't got no goals. Give us your thoughts in the comments. Player ratings will be out. There's some players that need a chatting to. Tune in for that later. It's in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.